Players begin by shuffling their standard decks, followed by choosing their starting souls. Player 1 selects medium soul, and Player 2 selects regular soul. After selecting their souls, both players roll the dice to determine who is to go first. Player 1 rolls a 14, and Player 2 rolls a 5. Finally, both players draw 3 cards from their standard decks and begin the game. Turn 1, Player 1. Player 1 begins the game and does not draw as they are starting the game. Selecting from their hand, they play Heavenly Maelstrom and equip it to their medium soul. Then, they play Black Hole and immediately draw an antimatter quirk off the top of their deck, not needing to continue. Finally, Player 1 sets an event card and ends their turn. Turn 1, Player 2. Player 2 begins his turn by drawing, followed by playing Slot Stop. He designates Player 1's Heavenly Maelstrom as the target, and it is flipped over for 3 turns. Then, Player 2 plays Divine Retribution and equips it to their regular soul. Finally, Player 2 sets an event card and ends their turn. Turn 2, Player 1. Player 1 draws and discards 1 card to spawn a soul token. Afterwards, Player 1 plays Predatory Practices and equips it to their medium soul. They then declare engagement with their medium soul against Player 2's regular soul, but Player 2 activates their concealed event Hesitant Haze, nullifying the attack. That ends Player 1's turn. Turn 2, Player 2. Player 2 draws to begin their turn. They then play Holy Light and immediately draw a Divine Quirk. Afterwards, they play the card they drew, Divine Force, and equip it to their regular soul. Player 2 finally plays Helping Hands and designates their Soul Shard Converter. Player 2 declares an attack with their regular soul on Player 1's soul token, destroying the soul token. As a result of Player 2's successful attack, their regular soul is able to spawn a soul token due to Divine Force, thus ending Player 2's second turn. Turn 3, Player 1. Player 1 draws a card from their standard deck and is able to activate their Heavenly Maelstrom, inflicting 1 damage to all existences Player 2 controls. Then they ascend their medium soul into a Chrysanthemum entity, and by doing so, creates a second crystal and spawns an additional Chrysanthemum. Player 1 then plays Carnivorous Appendages onto their second Chrysanthemum, ending their turn. Turn 3, Player 2. Player 2 draws and ascends their regular soul into a Chrysanthemum entity. Upon ascension, Player 2 creates a second crystal and spawns an additional Chrysanthemum. They then play Crystal Shards and deals 1 damage to their crystal to spawn a soul token. Then Player 2 declares an attack with their soul token on Player 1's Carnivorous Appendages Chrysanthemum, dealing 1 damage, finally finishing Player 2's turn. Turn 4, Player 1. Player 1 draws and discards 1 card to spawn a soul token. They then declare an attack with their Chrysanthemum on Player 2's soul token that was previously damaged from the Heavenly Maelstrom, destroying the soul token. Then, Player 1 declares an attack with their Carnivorous Appendages Chrysanthemum on Player 2's Chrysanthemum, dealing 6 damage and taking 2 damage to their own health. Player 1 then ends their turn. Turn 4, Player 2. Player 2 draws a card and activates Crystal Shards and deals 1 damage to their crystal to spawn a soul token. Player 2 then combines their 2 crystals to form a crystal cluster, referred to as clustering, and spawns in their perfect soul. Next, Player 2 plays Explosive Discharge, equipping it to their damaged Chrysanthemum, and destroys Player 1's Carnivorous Appendages. Next, Player 2 declares an attack with their soul token and Chrysanthemum on Player 1's soul token, dealing a total of 3 damage, destroying Player 1's soul token. Finally, Player 2 declares an attack with their Explosive Discharge Chrysanthemum on Player 1's weakened Chrysanthemum, but Player 1 activates their concealed event Hesitant Haze, nullifying the attack, and the turn ends. Turn 5, Player 1. Player 1 draws and plays Hidden Armory, searching their deck and adding a quirk to their hand. Then Player 1 plays Toxic Mire, and equips it to their first and undamaged Chrysanthemum, which reduces all opponents' existence armor by 1. Player 1 then declares an attack with their Toxic Mire Chrysanthemum on Player 2's weakened soul token, destroying it. Player 1 declares an attack with their Chrysanthemum on Player 2's Explosive Discharge Chrysanthemum, dealing 2 damage and ending their turn. Turn 5. Player 2. Player 2 draws and activates Crystal Shards, and deals 1 damage to their Crystal Cluster to spawn a soul token. Next, Player 2 ascends their Perfect Soul into a Crystal Guardian, activating Crystal Keeper by sacrificing their 2 Chrysanthemum. Player 2 activates Crystal Keeper's effect, and spawns a Medium Soul on the left and a Greater Soul on the right. Player 2 then plays Lashing Appendages, and equips it to their Medium Soul, and declares an attack with their soul token on Player 1's Wounded Chrysanthemum, dealing 1 damage. This ends Player 2's turn. Turn 6. Player 1. Player 1 draws to start their turn. Player 1 ascends their Toxic Mire Chrysanthemum into a Corrupted Chrysanthemum by using Corrupted Chrysanthemum's effect. Then, Player 1 plays Concussive Cannons and equips it to their Corrupted Chrysanthemum. Finally, Player 1 declares an attack with their Chrysanthemum on Player 2's Untouched Soul token, dealing 2 damage and ending Player 1's turn. Turn 6. Player 2. Player 2 draws and attaches Projectile Appendages to their Medium Soul. Next, Player 2 declares an attack with their Medium Soul, Crystal Keeper, and 2 soul tokens on Player 1's Corrupted Chrysanthemum, dealing a total of 16 damage and destroying it. Finally, Player 2 declares an attack with their Greater Soul on Player 1's Chrysanthemum, dealing 3 damage and ending their turn. Turn 7. Player 1. Player 1 skips draw to spawn a large soul, and then combines their 2 crystals to form a crystal cluster, which is again referred to as clustering. Player 1 spawns their Perfect Soul and declares an attack with their Chrysanthemum on Player 2's soul token, guarding their Medium Soul, destroying it. Player 1 then ends their turn. Turn 7. Player 2. Player 2 draws and activates Crystal Shards, and deals 1 damage to their crystal cluster to spawn a soul token. Player 2 plays Sanctuary, and places it in their second event slot. Next, Player 2 declares an attack with their Medium Soul, Crystal Keeper, and 1 soul token on Player 1's Perfect Soul, healing 15 damage and destroying it. Finally, Player 2 declares an attack with their Greater Soul on Player 1's Chrysanthemum, dealing 3 damage and destroying it. This ends their turn. Turn 8. Player 1. Player 1 draws, and seeing the writing on the wall, they decide to forfeit the game.